Whenever you go out looking for books, odds are you're going to run into at least a couple of titles that will show you no sales rank at all. In this video, I'm going to be talking about those kinds of books and whether or not you should be buying them. I'm also going to let you know how I approach these books and whether or not I buy them at all. My name is Manny, and this is Manny's Book Bag. Hello everybody, what's going on? It's Manny. I'm back with a short video. A question recently came up in one of the Facebook groups asking all about why books have no sales rank. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to end the week with a short video to explain the mystery of these books. Let me start by pointing out that currently there are over 65 million books in Amazon's catalog, and only about 20 million of those books have an actual sales rank. That leaves the rest of these books with zero sales history. If a book does not have a sales rank, the book has not sold.
That's terrible.
Now I'm going to start off my explanation of how I work with these books by saying that I almost never buy them. The simple fact is that when a book has no sales rank, for you to actually make the decision to buy, there has to be a couple of very specific details in place that make it a good decision for you. Just remember that there are so many good books out there to buy that the time that it takes to figure out if you want to take a chance on a book is seldom worth it at all. But let's go over a couple of the things that make me look at a book and think that maybe I want to take a shot at it. The number one factor for me when it comes to making a decision on a book without a sales rank is subject. A very specific subject. Let me give you a good example. If I'm pulling a book from the shelf and it has no sales rank and I look at it and it's just a general anthropology book, that's just not going to cut it. The subject is way too broad. It doesn't appeal to a very specific buyer looking for this book, and that's who you really have to consider when you make this decision. You have to think about the buyer. Who wants this book and how badly do they want it? If it's a very blah subject and it's very general, odds are they don't want it that bad. That means it's not worth your time at all. But that same anthropology book, if I pull it and it is medieval anthropology of 15th century Eastern Europe, did you hear how specific that is? Now that's not a real book, but you get the point. If it is a very specific subject, if it's tied to a very specific time, a specific region of the world, a very specific way of doing things, the more niched out that a book is, the more of a chance you will have to sell that to the correct buyer. Now let's also say, for example, that you find a book that has no sales rank but sounds just interesting enough that you're thinking about buying it. Another clue as to why there's no sales rank is going into Amazon and looking up that listing. There are two things that I want to know. The first thing, what is the quality of the listing that was built for this book? If you see a crappy picture, if you see no description of any kind, if you see that there are quality alerts, all of these things are indicators that Amazon is probably not very happy with this listing and might actually be suppressing it. If I look at the listing for this book and I see the opportunity to really brighten it up with a nice tight photograph of the item on a nice white background, as opposed to the ones that we see, that's actually going to honor Amazon's photography policy and give you a better shot of getting in front of your buyer. So you're looking for the right book, you're looking for great opportunities to improve the listing, and the third thing that you want to know is that the only listing? On occasion, the wrong listing is going to pop up on our applications, and we think that it's one thing when it's really another. You may pull up a book that has no sales rank, but when you do a manual search, you might find one that is ranked pretty well. When you do a search like this, you might also find a listing for a more recent copy of the book, a hardcover copy of the book that is selling, or a more recent copy of the book that is selling for cheaper. These are actually going to help you to not buy the book and save you from wasting your time. So these are all key steps. So if your spidey senses are tingling right now and thinking, well, this might be pretty time consuming, you would be correct. You're simply not going to do this for a $10 book. There are extra steps, and in the time that it took you to do that, you could source 20, 30, 50 books that are all going to sell for a profit. So what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not going to happen very often, and when you do make the purchase on a book with no sales rank, it really does have to be worth it. Or it would have to be a part of a bulk haul that I purchased, so I already own the book. I am simply not going to take a minute or two while I'm in the middle of a thrift store and sourcing to research a book with no sales rank to this level. I am going to walk away if somebody else wants to take a chance on that book or do the research when they should keep it moving. I welcome them to do so. And that leads me to the second part of this video, which is just a basic message of our pace while we're outsourcing. I'm all for doing a lot of really diligent research and taking your time to make sure that you're buying what you're buying. But one of the best ways that you can improve as a sourcer is to pay really close attention to your decision time. From the moment you scan to the moment you put your book either in your shopping cart or back on the shelf, how long is it taking you to arrive at that decision? If it's taking you 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, you may think that you're doing pretty good, but what I want you to know is that you're actually going to achieve your peak as a sourcer when you're effectively able to make these decisions in a matter of seconds. Now, I do run a Bluetooth scanner with a downloadable database on my phone. So for me, I'm scanning anywhere between 15 to 20 books a minute.
Now, do you know how fast you were going?
Am I scanning every single book? Absolutely not. It's very important to understand that when you first begin selling books, you are going to scan just about everything. You're not going to do that because it's going to be a general practice of how you're always going to operate. But while you're learning, you really want to pay attention to what books are winners, which books don't sell for high money, authors, publishers. You'll draw a really good correlation between these authors and publishers and books that are generally profitable. So while you're learning and while you're scanning, pay really good attention to what these winners look like, what the covers feel like. You'll start to get an eye for it, and you won't have to scan nearly as much. When I show up to a thrift store now, I start scanning mostly nonfiction. I will scan fiction, but I'll do it visually and look for very specific things. Now, when I come across a book that does not have a barcode, am I going to scan that book? Probably. But what I do is take a quick look, and I either decide that it's something that I want to research further, in which case I turn it on its side and put it back, or I leave it standing straight up and put it back if I don't want to look at it again. It's very important to keep it moving, so I don't stop scanning to research a book at all. I'll go through the entire bookshelf, I'll get done with everything that I'm going to scan, and then I go back to the books that I turned sideways that are sticking out. Those are the books that I'm going to do an actual manual scan in to see if it's worth money. And I'm certainly not going to waste a lot of time doing that. My favorite way to do that is to tap the camera icon and go ahead and use the Flow app that is built into the Amazon Seller app. When listings pop up, I'm going to look for the correct listing as far as sales rank and the type of book that it is to make sure that it matches. And from there, it should be a very quick decision as to whether or not the book is worth buying. So absolutely, when you have a book with no sales rank, take a quick look, but make sure it's quick. Keep your pace moving. Don't stop too long for any one title. And this is especially important because if you go into a very competitive environment like a library sale or an outlet store where it's all about speed, you are going to get dusted if you take way too long to examine one book. So today's message is to go out there, grab the gold, research the books that no one else is researching, but do it really quickly. It takes practice, it takes experience. It's not a secret formula. So if you keep cracking at it, you will eventually get to that point where you will be that fast. And that's all for today's video, folks. If you enjoyed this video and you want me to make more videos like this one, please remember to share, like, and subscribe to support the channel. If you haven't liked this video yet, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and tap on that book bag right there. And while you're in there, hit those bell notifications so that you don't miss any new videos. Until next time, let's go make some money.